Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're looking at tidying up the M46 130mm artillery gun and gun tractor from GHQ. So I just lay them out like this, so you got your components that you can put together or tidy up, the flashing, and then we'll put the limber and the gun trails on together. So here we have the gun tractor, the limber, the trails, and then the barrel. So they're the components we're going to tidy up, the flashing, and we've got one here that will be in the towed or travelling position, and then we'll have one here that will be in the inaction position or firing position. So you can use a file to tidy them up, so I'm just using a fairly small file here, flat file, and also a hobby knife, so I use both. And I'll just move this the one in the tow position off camera for a second, and we'll do this one first. So here you can see on the trails there's some flashing there, so I just start by trimming up any of that flashing, and just be careful, you don't want to damage the model. And the other way to do it is use a file and file any areas that may have a little bit of flashing on them. So go around and tidy that up. Now for artillery, have a look at photos, you can online, books, magazines, things like that. The trails will be spread. So I'll just get the file in there, and then I just push the whole trail around. Do that both sides to make it look like it's in that deployed firing position. And you can see here the trail slightly bent, so I'll straighten that as well, just using the file. So just using a flat straight surface. Just get them into that position. Now they're still slightly uneven that way, so I'll just give them a little twist. So my left hand's pushing up, right hand's pushing down. Just give them a little bit of a twist. There's a little bit of flashing just there. So I'll just manipulate it around a bit till you're happy with it. Now, which side's up, which side's down? The pieces at the back here are called spades. These bits here on each side, they're called spades. And the spades, this section of the spades, so the bigger section, flatter surface, is down. So that the idea is when the gun fires, that pushes back, sinks into the ground, and the gun, when it fires from after the first 3 or 4 initial rounds, it won't push back anymore. So the spades will dig into the ground. So that's the top, and that side's the bottom. So just remember the biggest section of the spades go down. And we do the same thing with the barrel. Just go along it, give it a little bit of a straighten up, tidy up any flashing on it, just remove any edges. And of course you can use a smaller file than what I'm using. You can use a bigger file, you can use the hobby knife. And then just test fit it. So at the bottom here you'll see a small little pimple. There's a little bit of flashing there. So we'll get the steely knife onto that, the hobby knife onto that. Just take that out. And test fit it. Trails aren't sitting completely flat. Let's give it a little push with my finger. And then that's pretty loose, so that's not going to fit there without a little bit of support when you initially glue it. And my glue, once again, I just use a store-bought super glue. nothing fancy about it. It's just a standard glue, and on the trails I'll just put a dash of that glue on there. Then I'll place in the barrel and its carriage, and I'll just support it with my finger for a second. Just let that super glue take hold. It's just one of those things you just got to be patient with, take your time. And then straight away, once I've got a little bit of elevation on that gun, I just put it off to the side. So I'll just place it up here, out of the way off camera, and won't touch it. Then come to the gun tractor, I'll have a look at that. Same thing, file's the best way to go. Just any little pieces of flashing on it, you can see, just tidy up. I must say from the box, these guys look really good, so there's not too much to tidy them up on there. But if there is, hobby knife, file, best way to go. So then I'll put that aside as well, and then come to the gun that's in the traveling position. And first I'll look at the limber, anything on there that I need to tidy up. There's a few little bits of flashing on there on the wheels, so I'll just go around and tidy that up. Don't be heavy-handed, they don't need much. And then looking at the trails in the traveling position, locked position, storage position, there's a few different names for it, and just going around again with the file if you find any spots. Now this will join up like that. Now that's created a bit of an elevation here. Is this end with the limber is a lot higher than this end, and if we attach that barrel's probably going to hit the ground. So what I tend to do if that's going to happen is I push up with my left hand, my two fingers, my left hand, and just change that angle slightly. That's caused a bend in the trails, but what that bend will do is help to change that angle slightly. So when we put this gun and carriage on, the gun won't look like it's dragging along on the ground. So the gun and carriage, once again, the gun and limber, once again, it's the same process. A little bit of glue. That looks like a mountain of glue, but trust me, it's not. And then we just put that piece on there. We let that set. And then whilst that's setting, we'll take a look at the barrel. The barrel's pretty badly bent. Once again, just the file, and I just use the flat edge of the file to straighten that barrel as much as we can, and I just rotate it around till we get something that looks fairly straight. If they're going to be used for gaming, look, the barrels are probably going to bend a little bit and move around a little bit, and then just look around for flashing, anything you think that looks like it's sticking up a bit. Give it a little bit of a file and a bit of a tidy up. And that barrel we can manipulate a little bit after too. Once again, test fit. Make sure you're happy with it. And then it's the same again, super glue. Just a dash of super glue in there. And then once you've got happy with the gun and the gun carriage, just sit it in there, hold it for a little bit. Now there's a little bit of flashing on, I just noticed on the end of this barrel, just here on the end of the barrel, and we'll tidy that up after by just flipping it over and just cutting it off. Now, when assembling these, you want to, my barrel just moved, so you just got to be patient. You know, of course I did the wrong thing. I moved it. This towing eye on the end, I'll get something smaller. This towing eye on the end will eventually line up with the back of this gun tractor. So you want to have a little bit of elevation in this towing eye. So you don't want it flat, you don't want it straight or too low. You want to elevate it so we can eventually have this gun tractor, when we do join them, like that. So you do have that elevation. This towing eye was too low. It's a bit hard to bend once it's assembled. And that's the assembly of the M46 GHQ deployed gun and gun in the towed position with the gun tractor. Thanks for watching.